Exactly what did in fact occur in the village of Pinkville in March 1968, I do not know for certain, but I am convinced that it was something very black indeed.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at some of the darkest military scandals brought to light by brave whistleblowers from the ranks.
For the first time, an Israeli soldier sat down with us to describe how the military systematically destroyed civilian infrastructure to create this buffer zone.
Australian war crimes in Afghanistan. After 9/11, the U.S. brought NATO and a large coalition of allies into Afghanistan. Australia was one of them.
It's unthinkable. Men we thought of as heroes are really anything but. Sadly, though, the accusations couldn't be more serious.
Years later, their military suffered a major reputation blow after horrifying allegations surfaced from within its own ranks. In 2016, former Army lawyer David McBride leaked classified documents to the media. They pointed to unlawful killings committed by Australian Special Forces. A years-long investigation confirmed credible evidence of war crimes, including the killing of civilians and prisoners.
The unlawful killing of civilians and prisoners is never acceptable.
The fallout even reached a national hero, Ben Robert Smith, who was one of Australia's most decorated soldiers. The allegations of his misconduct utterly destroyed his reputation. His subsequent defamation suit was thrown out of court.
Ben Robert Smith committed war crimes.
Today is a day of justice. It's a day of justice for those brave men of the SAS who stood up and told the truth about who Ben Robert Smith is.
Drone warfare, civilian casualties. Drone strikes were once hailed as the high-tech future of warfare. Fast, precise, and clean.
Operated remotely in skies high above their targets, drones have become critical tools.
But in 2015, former U.S. Air Force analyst Daniel Hale leaked classified documents that told a very different story. His disclosures were chilling. During some U.S. drone operations, as many as 90% of those killed were not the intended targets.
If it wasn't for people like Daniel Hale, whistleblowers who came forward, you would have virtually no understanding of the entire war on terror, and in particular the drone strike program.
The documents also revealed that official reports often downplayed civilian casualties. The leaks raised serious ethical questions about how drone programs were conducted and sparked global debate over their hidden costs. Hale was later sentenced to 45 months in prison for exposing the classified information.
And not just any prison, no. Hale is being held in a prison unit commonly referred to as Little Guantanamo. It's one of two secretive facilities that the Bush administration designed after 9/11 specifically to house terrorists and restrict their communications with the outside world.
Eddie Gallagher's alleged atrocities in Iraq. Eddie Gallagher was once celebrated as a decorated Navy SEAL, a hero.
When I found out he was my chief, I was excited. I saw how he did business and ran our training. He was always motivated. That's exactly what you're looking for in a chief.
That image was shattered in 2018 when fellow SEALs accused him of committing shocking acts during his deployment to Iraq. According to their reports, Gallagher allegedly stabbed a wounded teenage prisoner to death and fired indiscriminately at civilians.
11 months later, Vrenz and other members of Alpha told NCIS what they say happened.
He's so toxic at this point.
They were not just diming Gallagher out. They were breaking the code of silence.
His court-martial drew massive public attention. Shocking testimony revealed that some SEALs had tried to report him internally but were ignored. Gallagher was ultimately acquitted of most of the serious charges. However, he was convicted of posing with a corpse, leading to his demotion. His trial made him a cultural hero on the MAGA right, sparking intense political controversy over the case.
I just want to retire peacefully with all the honors that I've earned, get back to my family, and I don't know how many times I've thanked the president. He keeps stepping in and doing the right thing, and I want to let him know that the rest of the SEAL community is not about this right now.
Irish Defence Forces abuse scandal. A scandal decades in the making finally exploded in 2023.
This is a day of pride and achievement, but these are difficult times for the force.
A report known as Women of Honor exposed years of bullying, harassment, and sexual assault within the Irish Defence Forces. Most cases were ignored and mishandled by senior military leadership. Victims described a culture where speaking out often led to retaliation, isolation, or the end of their careers.
This is not a historical issue in the organisation. This is an issue that exists today. And that has been part of my learning, part of the truth to power that I've been speaking with the men and women in various sessions for over the last year.
The report revealed that formal complaints were frequently downplayed, delayed, or dismissed altogether. When the findings became public, Ireland's government issued a formal apology. They promised sweeping reforms, including independent oversight of complaints. The scandal shook public trust and forced a national reckoning over how the defence forces treated their own.
Unfortunately, they've known about this for 23 years. The general staff, the military authorities have been promoted within that toxic culture.
Iraq War Collateral murder video leak. In 2010, the world got a rare glimpse into the hidden costs of modern warfare.
Chelsea Manning has long been a lightning rod. A cybersecurity expert, a whistleblower to some, a traitor to others, responsible for leaking the largest trove of classified documents in U.S. history to WikiLeaks.
U.S. Army analyst Chelsea Manning leaked classified material to WikiLeaks, including a video later known as Collateral Murder. It showed a 2007 U.S. helicopter attack in Baghdad that killed several civilians, including 2 Reuters journalists.
While working as an intelligence analyst in Iraq, Manning says she saw the horrors of war unfold in classified material that she later leaked to the public.
Audio from the footage captured pilots misidentifying cameras as weapons and later striking a van that tried to help the wounded. The leak caused global outrage and fueled debates over military transparency and rules of engagement. Manning was later convicted under the Espionage Act and sentenced to 35 years in prison. She served 7 years before her sentence was commuted.
You know, there was this discrepancy between what we had access to in the public versus what I actually finally saw on the ground and what we as, you know, a collective were really sort of seeing on the ground and experiencing every single day.
Tiger Force. Decades after the Vietnam War ended, one of its darkest chapters finally came to light. In 2003, journalists uncovered disturbing details about a shadowy U.S. Army unit known as Tiger Force. Wherever Tiger Force operated in Vietnam's Central Highlands, reports of carnage and horror followed. Former soldiers described incidents of civilian massacres, torture, and the deliberate targeting of non-combatants. An internal military investigation launched in the 1970s confirmed serious misconduct, but no one was ever held accountable. Worse, the findings were buried. When the story finally broke publicly, it reignited painful debates about accountability and the hidden costs of war. Dutch war crimes in Indonesia. For decades, the Netherlands portrayed its colonial war in Indonesia as a heroic effort to maintain order.
Excuses maken voor misrekeningen en misdragingen in het verleden. Was politionele actie niet een veel te mooi woord voor de oorlog die we voerden?
That story fell apart in 1969, when Dutch veteran Joop Hoting publicly revealed a darker reality. He confessed that Dutch forces had committed widespread atrocities during the Indonesian National Revolution. These included mass executions, acts of torture, and the destruction of entire villages.
De daden, als je dus een aantal daden naast elkaar zet, een aantal dorpen die leeggeschoten worden of waarvan de mensen nodeloos worden weggevoerd of vermoord als represaillemaatregel, dan zijn die daden natuurlijk vergelijkbaar, strikt vergelijkbaar.
His revelations stunned the Dutch public and forced the government to launch an investigation. The inquiry confirmed that war crimes had taken place, but few consequences followed. Hoyting's bravery broke years of silence and sparked a national reckoning over a painful chapter in Dutch history.
Wat dat betreft hebben wij dus de acties en het militaire geweld sterk op de achtergrond weggedrukt.
Israeli atrocities in Palestine. In the early 2000s, a group of Israeli soldiers broke ranks to reveal troubling stories from inside the military.
They publish first-hand accounts of current and former Israeli soldiers who served in the occupied Palestinian territories.
An organization called Breaking the Silence began collecting testimony from soldiers who had served in the occupied Palestinian territories. Their reports described excessive force, mistreatment of civilians, and violation of military rules.
בסופו של דבר, בציבוריות הישראלית, השיח על הכיבוש כמעט ולא מתקיים.
In 2025, Breaking the Silence released new accounts detailing war crimes during Israel's response to the October 2023 Hamas attacks. One allegation accused the Israeli Defense Forces of creating a kill zone in Gaza, where homes and farmland were destroyed to establish a buffer area. These new investigations fueled mounting allegations of misconduct. International bodies, including the UN and ICC, have since launched investigations into the actions.
אבל מה זה אומר לנו? זה אומר לנו שעיתונאים בכל המשלחת הזאת ראו את זה, ודיברו על זה, ושמעו את זה. אבל בחרו שלא לדבר על זה. וכשמגיעה מסה מספיקה של עדים, של חיילים וחיילות שהיו שם, שעשו את זה, שמוכנים לשבור את השתיקה על זה, זה הופך להיות נושא.
Torture at Abu Ghraib. The world was shocked in 2004 when images from Iraq's Abu Ghraib prison exposed horrifying abuses by U.S. personnel.
Not long after, the New Yorker magazine reported that the Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, was personally responsible for authorizing the use of torture at Abu Ghraib.
Prisoners were stripped, beaten, humiliated, and subjected to torture. Much of what we know came from whistleblowers like Army Sergeant Samuel Province, who tried to raise alarms internally before speaking out publicly. The scandal wasn't isolated to a few rogue soldiers.
This report shows the direct connection between the policy decisions and legal opinions made here in Washington and the abuses that we saw at Abu Ghraib.
Investigations revealed that abusive practices were encouraged by broader U.S. detention policies after 9/11. Many of the techniques mirrored tactics later identified in the CIA's torture program. The fallout from Abu Ghraib damaged America's reputation worldwide. It also sparked global outrage and lasting debates over accountability in wartime.
Documents released today by the Senate Intelligence Committee make clear that was done with the full knowledge and approval of the White House.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. My Lai Massacre. The My Lai Massacre remains one of the darkest moments in U.S. military history. In 1968, American soldiers killed hundreds of unarmed Vietnamese civilians in the village of My Lai.
Deep down, we felt what we were doing was right. But after it was over, everyone knew it was wrong.
The incident might have been buried forever, if not for a few whistleblowers within the Army. Helicopter pilot Hugh Thompson, along with his crew, intervened to stop the killings and later reported the massacre to higher command.
It still hurts to think about us doing things like that.
Despite their efforts, the military initially tried to cover it up. Public outrage exploded after journalist Seymour Hersh exposed the story in 1969. Very few were ever held accountable.
A hell of a time getting the major press to run the stories, for sure. This is always the way it is. There's always a disconnect between what the bad stuff that goes on, that everybody knows goes on, and what I guess you could call the mainstream press want to write about.
When official justice falls short, remembering the truth becomes the only way to prevent history from repeating itself. Were there other dark military secrets left off our list? Let us know in the comments below.
The former lawyer leaked hundreds of classified documents to the ABC, which led to it exposing war crimes.